We've been talking free agency all last week. We covered offense. This week we are going over defense, but a position that the Green Bay Packers have got to get right is the safety position. We are going to cover that in this video. Before I jump into the content, if you like it, hit that subscribe button. Let's jump into it. The Green Bay Packers, when we start talking the safety position under contract, Anthony Johnson Jr., Benny Sapp III, Zane Anderson. Free agents for the Packers are Darnell Savage, who's unrestricted, Rudy Ford, who's unrestricted, Jonathan Owens, who is unrestricted, which doesn't leave much to be desired when we start talking who's left for the Packers at safety. Packers certainly will be looking at safety at the as the priority, as the top of their priority list, whether through free agency or the draft or both. As it stands, Anthony Johnson Jr. and Benny Sapp III are the starters active on the active roster heading into 2024. A seventh round pick and an undrafted free agent that's just simply not going to cut it under Jeff Hafley's defense. So Darnell Savage heads into free agency after playing out his fifth-year option, and he leaves behind a $5.5 million dead cap hit when his contract expires. Maybe the Packers want him to return. It will depend on whether or not Hafley's opinion of him and his skill set is going to cover it under his defensive schemes. My guess is that Savage will try to get a decent deal outside of Green Bay, and the Packers just aren't simply going to be able to match what he's going to get out there. Rudy Ford and Jonathan Owens were two of the Packers' top free agent signings last season, and they head back into free agency this upcoming season. I can see either guy coming back at a minimum deal, just to be on the depth chart. When we start talking training camp, the Packers will need starting level talent at under Hafley's system and what he runs there. They patched holes in 2023, and it's time for some real investment at the safety position for the Packers. I see them drafting at least two secondary players at the end of day two, and then probably more in later rounds. But should they also sign a bigger name free agent, like if it were me, if you start restructuring some deals out there and you start looking at who's out there that they could really invest some money into when it comes to safety position. Winfield Jr. out of Tampa Bay would be first on my list if I were the Packers. I would love a veteran like that. If the Packers could somehow get him, restructure some deals to free up some cap space, and if they would be able to get him in Green Bay, I think that would be absolutely amazing. And then you pair him up with maybe somebody that they're able to draft, whether it's in the first round or early second round. A guy that comes to mind, if we're able to get him in the first round, be top on my list would be Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. I think this dude would be an absolute monster as safety, and especially if you're going to pair him with Winfield Jr. out of Tampa Bay, I think that would make complete sense under Hafley's defense. And wow, what a way for Hafley to get started there in Green Bay as the defensive coordinator. If you're able to get a Winfield Jr. type safety, a veteran type presence out there, and then if you're able to get somebody like Nubin in the first round, this dude, it says right here, he played in 55 games, set a program record with 13 picks, made 207 tackles. 143 of them were solo and had 4.5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, broke up 24 passes. The list goes on. He's a 4-time academic, all Big Ten selection. The guy is intelligent. He knows what he's doing out on the football field. I think that would be a perfect marriage in Green Bay, especially, again, if they're able to get a big name safety like a Winfield Jr. Another guy on my draft board would be Cameron Kitchens out of Miami, Florida. I think this dude would be an absolute stud. Both these guys, when we start talking Nubin or Kitchens, I think either of these guys would make an absolute impact, immediate impact for the Packers. It says right here, Kitchens earning all ACC first team honors for the second straight year as one of the team's top defensive performers. Started all 10 games in which he competed and ranked third on the team with 59 total tackles, finished with a team high 5 interceptions, moving on to the top 10 for Miami records of career interceptions at 11. To me, I mean, when I see that these guys are playing all the games on the football field, that is just immediately going to raise the level in Green Bay when we talk about guys just their longevity being able to stand on the football field. But when we're talking on free agents for the Packers, I think Jonathan Owens, that would be a guy that I would love to see back in Green Bay. I really would. And if you're able to go and spend some money on safety, if you're able to free up some cap space, move some money around and get a Winfield Jr. type guy, that would be my selection. And either of those two guys in the draft, leave your comments. Let me know who's the dark horse? I mean, those are just the obvious names. Of course, those are the two guys that are just the biggest names I think would make the biggest impact, immediate impact for Halfley's defense. But who's that dark horse for you out there? Who would you like to see the Packers get that I didn't mention? Whether it's with their first pick in the second round or later, either in the third round or late second. That being said, leave your comments. Let me know what you think. Go Pack.